I just got off of my bonus group live for the week where we were looking at a paint technique. We painted this grungy farmhouse urn together, which left a huge mess. But while I was painting, we were talking about goals for the month. I was talking about accountability, yada, yada, yada. And I was having a really hard time finding what I was needing, even though it's all right behind me because everything is a disaster. And I said on my live, oh my gosh, y'all, I've been meaning to clean this up, but I wanted to make a video on it. So now is the time. Wasn't in my schedule for today, but I am going to set a 30-minute timer. Alexa, set a 30-minute timer.
30 minutes, starting now.
And we are going to clean and organize. The goal is to get both of these cabinets done. Let's see what we can do. While I am cleaning up and reorganizing my supplies, I am thinking about what I use most often, and those will be the items that get placed back up in the top of this Hoosier for easy access. I organize everything into cutting materials. I've got Cricut supplies. There's a bin of glue, a bin of tape, sandpaper, clips, and several different razor scrapers, and of course, endless supply of tags and peanuts. Now we'll move on to this little bottom section and do the same thing. Once I get it completed, this Hoosier is done, organized in about 15 minutes, and look how nice it looks. I like to work in sections when I am doing these little 30-minute cleanup spurts, and that way I don't end up with a big mess. I could have taken everything out of this, laid it all out on the table, but if my timer would have went off and I would have ran out of time, then I would have had a whole mess on the table. So I worked one little cabinet at a time, and now I can see all of my supplies and access them all a lot easier. Now we will move on to my paint cabinet. This is where I store all of my open paint and products that I use for my flips. And I'm going to work one shelf at a time. I'll take a couple things out and make room just so I can start rearranging. This isn't really dirty in here necessarily, it's just unorganized. So I just need to organize my products to make sure nothing is going to waste and I can see everything that I have. While I've been live lately, I keep turning around and reaching for paint to use to do thrift flips and whatnot. And I get super embarrassed because I open my can of paint and it is completely dried out and unusable. Just look at all of these cans of paint that I have let sit open too long, not put the lids on well enough, and they have just dried out. So we're actually going to fix that. You can reconstitute DIY paint. It is one of the amazing features of it. It is a clay-based paint and it's highly pigmented. So when it gets dried out like this, I can flake the dried off paint down into the bottom and start adding a little bit of water. I use a filtered bottled water, so I'm not adding in any germs or anything that will make the paint go bad. I stir it up a little bit. I kind of chop up those big chunky pieces and then I let it sit for a couple of days. After a couple of days, I will come back to it, stir it up some more, maybe add a little more water if I need to, shake it up real well. Again, let it sit for a couple days. After about 4 or 5 days, this paint will reconstitute itself down into a usable form. Here's what they look like after they've sat for a couple of days with that first round of water. Still a little thick, so I'm going to add a little more water and stir, shake, and let them sit for a couple more days. Now let's do a dollar decor flip using our reconstituted paint. I found these adorable little birds at the Dollar General. They were $1 each, and I'm going to use my DIY paint to give them a more high-end look. And even though we've watered this paint down right, look how great the coverage still is, and that is because it is so highly pigmented and thick to begin with. I did end up doing 2 coats on these birds because I wanted full coverage. I didn't really want that blue to pop back through. Now the birds have 2 coats of paint on them. You can see they have got great full coverage, and I'm going to show y'all all the different DIY paints. I had a viewer request, and we have got all of them here in front of us. We'll get these birds sealed up with some of the beautiful waxes. DIY wax is super buttery, smooth, and soft. It makes application a breeze, and I just love the beautiful antique finish that these waxes can provide. So the line has a clear, a dark, which is brown, there's black, white, this beautiful teal, which is like a faux verdigris, and the golden rule, which is a beautiful gold gilding wax. On this little apothecary bird, I'm gonna start with a layer of clear wax first, and that's going to give me a barrier and kind of help me be able to control the colored wax I put on. If you're new to using waxes as a finishing coat, I do suggest putting a clear down first before your colored waxes until you figure out exactly how those waxes are going to sit and seep into your dried paint. So now I've got just a little bit of the white here, and I don't need much. I'm just gonna hit this over, ooh, those details, and it's really gonna make those details pop. I'm gonna put it on a little heavy-handed. I don't even need much on my brush, and you can see what great coverage that is. And then I'm gonna wipe back the excess. So let's really work on getting it down in those details. And then we'll wipe back the extra off the high points. And I think that takes that little plastic looking bluebird up a whole nother notch, much more high end, something you would find in a high-end store. All right, this is gypsy green. This is a beautiful, beautiful color. And just think about all of that paint that we would have wasted, y'all, if we would have just thrown it away and chalked that up to being dried out, glossed paint. So again, clear wax is gonna go down first. You can really see this color darkens up. And again, it'll lighten back up. And if you're new to waxing, you might let this clear dry overnight and lighten back up a little bit. That way you can see the application of the dark a little bit better. Since this paint looks so dark, you might get too much dark on, and then when the paint dries and lightens back up, you could run the risk of it looking dirty or just being more than you wanted. Right, and then I've got a little bit of dark here just on an artist brush. I'm not too particular about what I wax with, especially on my small items. If I'm doing a piece of furniture, I use a nicer wax brush, but on these littles, it doesn't really matter much. And wipe it back. So if you're into more of a rustic, primitive look, dark wax is probably gonna be a little more your jam. If you're into more of like a French country look, I'm assuming white wax might be a little more your style. With the gold gilding wax, I usually just use my finger to apply it because you really don't need much. It is so pretty and provides a very, very French country shabby chic feel. I love using it on furniture as well. And I usually just highlight the high points with the gold wax. You've got some playtime too with this until it's cured and dry. You can mess with it a little bit, but once the wax dries and is cured after, 30 days or so, it is hard, not going anywhere. So I already put the white on this one, but I think the teal is gonna look best on this one. So we're gonna do white and teal. This teal is so pretty, especially over the copper patina. I'm gonna put just a little bit on this dark gray one too, so you guys can see it. Make it look like a little bit of aged patina up in his wings. Isn't that fun? And then on this light pink gal, I'm not even gonna put any clear on. I'm gonna go straight on with the white wax and y'all can see the difference. Since there's no clear wax there to provide a barrier, that white wax is just gonna soak in and stick a lot more than it would if I would have clear coated it or clear waxed it first. Thanks for hanging out with me today while I cleaned up my area and also took all of that old dried up paint, reconstituted it into usable paint, and did not waste all of those supplies and money. I love the way these little birds came out. They are available over on my site, Upcycled by Bri, for $3.95 each, and I just love these quick decor flips. So if you don't necessarily want to paint large items or furniture, these tiny little items can be profitable and fun as well. Let's take a look at each bird and I will tell you which wax I have on it. This is DIY Gypsy Green with the dark wax. Here is DIY French Millinery with the gold wax. This is DIY Apothecary. I used clear white and teal on this bird. Don't be afraid to mix them. This is DIY Old School. I used black wax and a touch of the teal. And here is Petticoat Pink with white wax. If y'all enjoyed today's video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, send it over to a friend, and don't forget to subscribe. Hit that notification bell to all so you don't miss any videos. And until next time, see y'all later. Bye, friends.